Are you ready to do some puzzles in physics? To start with, let's do some puzzles in circuits. And as we know, if you have two resistance in series, then the effective resistance is just sum of those two resistance. And if you have two resistance in parallel, then the reciprocal of the effective resistance is equal to sum of the reciprocal of the two individual resistance. Well, that being said, now let's think how we can calculate the effective resistance of this infinite series of resistance. Here we have various resistance arranged in a combination of vertical and horizontal. Each vertical resistance is of 12 ohms and each individual horizontal resistance is of 1 ohms. That being said, now how would you calculate the effective resistance between the point A and B? Think about it while we move on to the next puzzle. Now think of a cube made up of 12 different wires and each wire has 5 ohms of resistance and they are arranged in this fashion in a form of a cube, and you have to find the effective resistance between the point X and Y. So this is neither series connection nor parallel. It is a cube and the currents can flow in various resistance, and you have to calculate the effective between these 2 points. Think about it, and now let's move on to the next one. The next one is on Boyle's law. As we know, for a ideal gas, the product of pressure and volume is always constant. That being said, let's consider a scenario where you have a balloon and which has very low volume and pressure to start with, and then you slowly inflate the balloon, then volume is building up and the pressure also is building up. Then what happens is at one point the pressure is so high that the balloon even pops out. The question is, how come this is violating Boyle's law, which is pressure times volume is constant? Is pressure times volume constant? Then in that case, in this scenario, the product was very low to start with, and at a later point of time it went very high and then it even popped out. So think about it, why this is violating Boyle's law and what is the reason behind it. And let's move on to the next puzzle, and this is an interesting one, and this involves distance covered and the speed of the train. Here we have few objects. There are two trains and a bird, and these two trains are at a distance of 150 miles from each other, and the two trains are on the same track and they are moving towards each other. First train is moving at a speed of 35 miles per hour and the second train is moving at a speed of 40 miles per hour, and in between these two there is a bird which is flying at a speed of 45 miles per hour from first train towards second train. And since the speed of the bird is higher than both the train, it goes faster than both, and it starts from first train, it goes and hits against the second train, then flips over and flies back towards first. Then it hits the first train and then flips again and bounces back towards the second one. So that bird goes infinite series up and down between train 1 and 2 and it bounces back. The question is, how much distance will the bird travel before both the train collide into one another? Okay, think about it, and if you want, pause the video for a while, think the solution for all of them, and move on to the solution here. So now, to solve this resistance problem, which was the first problem, why don't we break this into two parts? So the first part, which has just three resistance, and then I cut the second part. And if you notice, When you have an infinite series of resistance and you cut that into this in this particular fashion, then that AB repeats, and the resistance between the initial AB and the later AB should be the same, because this is an infinite series of resistance. If they are effectively same, and let's say we call that as a value x, unknown value x, then the value in the question which is on the left hand side, x, is by adding the one on the right hand side. So let me explain it with my mouse. So if this one is x and this is also x, this is the effective resistance and this is the resistance of this infinite series, then this one is in parallel with 12 ohms. We can use this to calculate the effective resistance. So look here, we have this 12 ohms and this resistance is R. Let's call the resistance effective as R, and this AB is also R. So I'm going to use the value R for resistance instead of a X. Okay, so I have this R in parallel with 12. I calculate the effective resistance with using the parallel resistance formula, and then I add these two resistance of 1 ohm each, and that will give me effective resistance R once again. So if you see, the input and the output are related. So by this you can guess, if I solve this using a equation, that should give me a quadratic equation. Well, now let's look into the equation. Here, the value of R is equal to, which is the effective resistance, 1 plus 12R by 12 plus R plus 1. So these are the two series and this is the parallel. I add all this, that gives me 14R plus 24 over 12 plus R, and I solve this quadratic. It gives me a equation like this, and it says the R value should be 6 or minus 4. Let's drop the negative number. So we have 6. Perfect. So think about it, that if this one is 6 and this one is 12, what is the effective resistance? And then I add these two, and that will give me R once again. So that is how this is calculated, and we are able to find the resistance of infinite series. What's so great about this? Can we apply this in any other location or any other field? Yes. This has lot of application in engineering, in math, in finance, in data science, and name it, in many other industries. In math, if you have a infinite series, let's say geometric sequence, or you have any other sequence, you want to add them up, whenever you have infinite series, mostly we will use this concept to calculate the effective value. In finance, we have infinite cash flow. When you want to evaluate what is the value of a company, IBM or Facebook or Google, we calculate what is its dividend every year, and we for the infinite for so many years, and then we sum it up. Once again, we are using the calculation of perpetuity, and we are doing this to evaluate. So this concept can be applied in engineering, in math, finance, data science, and pretty much every industry where you have infinite series of something of this kind. Now, moving on to the next problem. In the question I told you, let the resistance be 5 ohms, but let me solve it for a general resistance of value R, and if I can solve it for any value R, you can later plug the value 5 and you can still get the answer. Now there are various different ways to calculate resistance. Okay, here let us say, instead of just calculating whether it is a series connection or parallel connection, we can even calculate resistance assuming a current I flows in, and how the current is split between the branches, and how finally the current comes back and in that way we can calculate the resistance in the path, and with that we can figure out what is the effective resistance. So if you see, when the current I comes in, it splits into three parts, and as all three are identical, it will equally split into I by 3 on each of the branches. So we have I over 3, I over 3, and I over 3 in all three branches. And let's consider this first branch. Once I over 3 comes here, there are only two paths for the currents to go, either this way, and these two are identical. So I over 6 goes on this route, and I over 6 goes on this route. So here we have I over 6. Now, if you look further, what's going to happen is, in this branch I over 6 comes, and this branch I over 6 come. They two join together, and once again it gives I over 3. So we have three branches with I over 3, they join together and you get the current I back here. Now to calculate the effective resistance, what we can do is, we know the equation voltage is current time resistance. We can go on one of the route and calculate the effective voltage drop, and with that we can calculate the resistance. So we know voltage is summation of IR, and in the first leg it's I over 3 times R. In the second leg, it's I over 6 times R. In the third leg, it's I over 3 times R. And when you sum this up, it gives you I times 5 over 6 times R. So, effective resistance is going to be 5 over 6 times R. That is the effective resistance, right? So this is a neat way to calculate effective resistance, where we feed a particular current and then evaluate it. This can be done in a intuitive way as well. The one what we did is a classical way. Let's do it in an intuitive way. So now we can little bit um, arrange it or change the shape of this cube in a little bit different format, and then I have a cube in this shape. Okay, or I'm this is like a isometric view. I'm looking in a different angle. The line V and U is a imaginary line where the voltage across V is always the same and voltage across U is always the same. That being said, we can assume the three lines between X and V are in parallel, and the lines between V and U are in parallel, and lines between U and Y are in parallel. If that is the case, the effective resistance of these three parallel lines are going to be R over 3, right? Because we add to find the effective reciprocal, you add the individual reciprocal, that gives me 3 over R, and effective resistance is R over 3. In a similar fashion, when I have 6 resistance in parallel, the effective resistance is R over 6. So that being said, what is the total resistance? The total resistance is sum of these three in series, which is R over 3 plus R over 6 plus R over 3, which is 5 over 6 times R. So whether you do in a classical way or an intuitive way, you would get the same answer. So by this we are able to confirm that our answer is accurate. Now, let's think about the Boyle's law. Okay, the fundamental principle of gas is PV equal to nRT, where pressure times volume is constant, and that constant is equal to N times R times T, and Boyle's law is valid only if the number of moles and the temperature is kept constant. So that was the whole in my question, where I didn't keep the number of moles of gas as constant as I was blowing and inflating the balloon, and I was increasing the molecules or number of moles in the gas. If n is changing, then Boyle's law is no more valid. That being said, look into this equation on the right hand side. P1 V1 equal to P2 V2, and that is equal to nRT, and if n is going to change, then this equation is no more valid. And a similar fashion, we can also rewrite it in this form where the temperature has to be kept constant, and P1 V1 by T1 is constant only if number of molecules are constant. So maybe the better way to write this equation would have been P1 V1 over N1 T1 is equal to P2 V2 over N2 T2, where I calculate the number of moles of gas in the initial condition, number of moles of gas into later condition, and then I change fit in the values of pressure and volume, then this equation is valid. Okay, so I am glad that we were able to figure out why this Boyle's law was not valid in the scenario we considered. Now let's look into this scenario where we have two trains and a bird, and as we know there are infinite combinations. The bird will fly from the first train to the second train and all of them start the trip at the same time, and the bird starts flying from the first train and it hits on the second train, then it bounces back and it keeps going back and forth. And if you do this math, it's extremely complicated, and I'm sure we have a infinite series of trips, and when you add them up, I am sure somewhere we will go wrong in the calculation. So the better way to do, or the smart way to do, is instead of doing calculation of number of trips, think how long will it take for the two trains to collide. If the train has to travel in total 150 miles and the summation of the relative speed is going to give us 75 miles per hour, of course in 2 hours they will reach 150 miles. And because they are traveling towards each other, the relative speed will add up, and 75 miles per hour, and they have to cover 150 miles. In 2 hours these two trains are going to collide. Well, if in 2 hours these two trains are going to collide and the bird is going to fly for all the 2 hours at the same speed of 45 miles per hour, then the bird is going to fly a total of 90 miles per hour. Well, that is the smart way to do it. I'm glad we were able to do this problem in a very short way, or a shortcut, or a shorthand route. Okay, so with this, I am done with all the puzzles for this video. And if you like what you are watching, I would say go ahead and subscribe this video, subscribe this channel, and I would see you in my next video. Thank you.